What's good, everyone? Welcome back to Cleveland Sports Unfiltered, and we'll be talking Cavs. So I've been sitting on this for ever since the Cavs lost to the Boston Celtics. Now, this isn't a overreaction or a reaction video to them losing to the Celtics, anyways. But I do want to give my thoughts on like the potential matchup against Boston in the playoffs. And if I'm the Cavs, not saying that they're like scary or soft or anything like that, like anybody on Twitter be saying, because we live on Twitter ever since that lost, and everybody's just blow it up. We're soft and frauds and this and that and one or the other. They're labeling us, and I'm not gonna go there, but I do think that if you know if you ever heard this styles make fights, everybody's heard that at some point in your life, whether you're playing a video game, you're watching boxing with somebody, yeah, you just watching anything like, when they say styles make fights. And I think that the Boston Celtics style is definitely the biggest problem for the Cavs, and their style is what actually is one of the cat not one of but the Cavs kryptonite. They have what the Cavs biggest weakness is, and that's going against prolific 3-point shooting teams who also rebounds at a great clip. Now, against other teams like, let's say, New York. New York is a good rebounding team, but they don't shoot the three at a high enough clip that really concern me like the Celtics would. Another team, Detroit. They rebound at a good clip. They're just like Boston. They're good. They're physical. They're long. Same with New York. Good on defensive end, long, lanky, athletic. They get rebounds, but they're not the 3-point prolific shooting team like Boston, and that's a thing that seems to give the Cavs the most problems is teams that can not only get up the three but make them at a high clip. I think that's what also was the downfall in the Indiana series because they just got like Nova high from three, and the Cavs had for some reason had a major rebound issue, which is unusual for Turner because he's not known as a great rebounder, but he unusually had a great series against us rebounding. And even Thomas Bryant, ironically, Thomas Bryant came in and, did a little damage. But I think that the Boston Celtics is a bad stylistic matchup for the Cavs. They got they got the players on the starters and the bench. They got that annoying little fucking pest in Peyton Pritchard who I hate to go against him, but I love to have him on the Cavs. That man is just a bucket. Ain't no hate. This is no hate to Peyton Pritchard. This is what I say is with all due respect to Peyton Pritchard. He's a hell of a fucking player. But that little fucker is, he's been a thorn in the Cavs fucking side for the absolute longest. And it seems like he shoots great in our fucking gym. What about our rims that man like? Like, somebody please educate me on this. This man loves to come in our goddamn gym and shoot. But it seems like, the way that the Celtics can get up the amount of threes and not just get up the amount of threes, but like I said, the prolific rate that they make those threes. And they a hell of a great rebounding team. That's just two things that the Cavs struggle with. It's either they're running you off the 3-point line or they're getting rebounds, but they're not great at both, and that's one of my problems that I have with the guards. Not helping the bigs rebound as much like Boston does. Boston's guards and wings rebound at a great rate. They're a long, lanky, athletic team. It's like when they're starting five, it's like there's not one person in the starting lineup that you can look at outside of the center that you can look at it like, yeah, he's not a legitimate threat. but he's a legitimate role, like a legitimate threat at the 3 point line. He's not a legitimate threat at the 3 point line, but he's a legitimate lob threat, roll threat, rebound threat. Put back guy, all of that good stuff that comes with those big men. But outside of him, like, and they don't even have Vucevic back yet, and he's not saying he's a great playoff performer, but hell, who knows? You may go to a certain. This happens all the time. He's not a great playoff performer. Then he just goes to a certain team. And it's like, well, what if all his other old teams like, well, what the fuck was this at when we had you? You know. So, and he's a big who can shoot the three. He definitely gets up a good volume of threes, which Boston love. They get up a shit ton of volume of threes. And he's not the greatest a rebounder, but he plays in Boston, so he'd probably be a great rebounder. But I just think that the style that the Boston Celtics plays with and the style that their team is constructed to be, it's just not a good matchup for the Cavs. Not saying that they're soft or they should avoid it or not tank, but purposely lose like they stupidly did a few years ago to get like Orlando, but purposely lose and do what you can to avoid Boston in the second round or some dumb shit like that. I'm not advocating for that. I never advocate for duck and smoke. Like I said in my previous video, Jay said you want smoke, you get smoke too. But I'm still standing on that. Like we can still get them to smoke, but yeah, I just don't think that that the style that the Boston Celtics plays with is a good matchup style for the Cavs. Like everybody else, I think that the Cavs can be fine with. Like the Detroit Pistons, we're not a good style for them. We're better. They're the better team currently, but we know, as we've seen, like they really can't really hang with us because you box Gay Cunningham in, and it's been proven you box him in, they really don't have a secondary score or anything like that. So I'm not too worried about them. The Knicks, they did present problems when we had Darius, because Jalen in the clutch can just go to that back down, turn around mid range and all of that. But that's just not going to happen with James. He tried that too. If you look at the last game we played against New York, he tried that with James, and it didn't work. So, and that was a brutal beating. But I just don't think that the Cavs, and Cavs and Celtics on our end is a good matchup. Boston, they don't care who they got. They're battle tested. They're champions. They're proven. All hats off to them. That was a hell of a game that they played. Like I said, this wasn't a reaction video to that game or anything. I was just giving my opinions on, the playoffs, and I don't think that the Boston Celtics is a great matchup for the Cavs in a bad way for us because they just do things that we don't do well, and that's get those loose rebounds and all of that good stuff, and we don't do a great particular job of running guys off the 3 point line. There's been a bugaboo of Kenny Atkinson ever since he got here. The terrible job of just running guys off the 3 point line. And that was the case with JB. It was the offensive side with JB, but the terrible job of running guys off the line under Kenny is a little alarming. I'm not gonna panic about it, but it is alarming because you gotta run those guys from Boston off the line. They're too good of shooters to just leave open, which also presents like here's my little problem that I did have watching the little part of the game that I did have against Boston. The amount in the clutch, the amount of just I dare you to take those shots that you gave Peyton Pritchard and all the other and Jason Tatum. It's like, come on, guys, you've seen this before. They can make it. I get it. Peyton Pritchard's not technically standing at the 3 point line, but he loves taking those deep threes. You know it. You know it. I know it. They know it. And they knew you was going to leave them open. because you too honed in on ball watching and too honed in on worrying about the ISO from Jalen or Jason, where you got out of your lane, the ball was thrown over your head, and it was a solid screen set. Well, I gotta give them credit for that. It'd be solid screen set, to when you do turn around, you ain't running nothing into a brick wall. That's what you run into. You run into a brick wall, and Dave Pritchard is launching a 30-foot three and then swishing it all net. So as y'all can see, like the Boston Celtics is, and then they swept us this year. I don't think we had 4 games, but they're 3-0. And they swept us, so it's just not a stylistically good matchup for the Cavs. But that's just my little rant on, the Cavs and how I think they don't match up against the Celtics well in the playoffs. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Please, please, please hit that like, share, subscribe button for you. I would greatly appreciate that. Till next time.